Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know, for this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Yes, hello Superfam. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We are here in Smallville to help out Superman, Lois, Irons, and General Lane fight this menace that's gotten too much to handle, and that's during the Season 1 finale, Episode 15, Last Sons of Krypton. I am the battle-weary Flash.
And I'm the recharging my ring but full of hope X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Yes, we are. Oh, man. So, before we get started, I got a pre-show feedback here, and I have to apologize to a longtime friend, Christy. She actually sent this in last week, but it got buried behind all the other emails that came in because Tomorrow's Legends we're covering 3 podcasts, so we get feedback in for all 3, and this just got pushed way up the list, and I missed it coming in. So, Christy, I apologize, but I'm going to read it right now. And she says, "Hello. I used to send in feedback for Arrow Squad and didn't realize you guys were covering Superman and Lois, as I haven't watched Legends in a long time. I've been catching up on your recap episodes, which has been so fun to listen to. I didn't think there'd be another superhero show as good as Arrow, but Superman and Lois is even better and absolutely amazing in every way. Music, acting, special effects, fight scenes, heart, family dynamics, twists and turns, and good villains. I just love the Kent family so much. They also know how to build suspense really well, like in this last episode where you just know Edge is going to escape and I'm still on the edge of my seat. Or the previous episode where you know Clark isn't going to be killed, but I'm still 100% invested and so emotional seeing Clark finally reunited with his family waiting at the farm. I can't wait to see how they wrap up this season with the last 2 episodes." And that's from Christy.
Awesome.
Yeah, great thoughts, Christy. Again, I really apologize for that. It's just me. It just got buried, so I hope you're still here and didn't get too upset that we missed you last week. But it's great to have you over here from Arrow Squad. Yeah, definitely. I tried reposting on the Arrow Squad Facebook page to kind of remind people that we are covering these, because I think there's a few people that didn't realize.
Yeah.
So, awesome stuff, Christy. Great to have you back. No news, X-Force. Let's get right into our ratings for this finale.
Yes, indeed. So I gave this one 9.75 Smallville backyard cookouts. I loved every minute of this episode. Yes, it was a bit of a cheesy close to the season, but I was all in for it. This show is about family and heart, and even though we got a ton of action, it was the heartfelt moments that really pushed it over the top for me. I cannot wait to see what Season 2 holds. Every other Arrowverse show needs to take notes and up their game.
Hear, hear. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm giving it a 9 solar-powered kinetic hammers. I think I gave a kinetic hammer review an episode or 2 ago. Well, now it's solar-powered kinetic hammers. Oh man, now that is how you do a finale for a comic-based TV show. And you're right, that all the other shows need to take notes and pay attention to how it's done. Now this one, it's not perfect though, and once again, they wrapped everything up super quick, and this was the fastest fix yet. It was all said and done in 30 minutes. I actually looked at the timer on the file being played. 30 minutes, everything was done. All the threats, all the problems, all the issues they had to deal with, it was dealt with in 30 minutes. To me, that's just plain insane. Why do these writers not want to let a threat linger past one episode? I haven't figured out yet with these guys. Usually, as in the last 2 times they did it, I would knock it down a few points. But this episode, this finale, I'm going to give all the credit to Tom Cavanaugh, Mr. Harrison Wells himself from The Flash, who masterfully directed this one, weaving it together so that it didn't seem like we were missing something. Everything was there, and in fact, by the time that battle was done, it did feel like an hour had passed. There was so much going on. He squeezed so much into it, And then you see there's still 15 minutes left. And you're like, what? We just fixed everything and there's still 15 minutes to go? Like, give that director, a full movie with 2 hours to work with, and I think we have a new directing maestro about to break through, because, like I said, he just put the pieces together in such a way that even though there was a lot going on, it gelled beautifully, and it didn't feel like the 30 minutes. That's why I was so shocked that it was solved in half an hour. So, hats off to Tom Cavanagh.
Indeed. I mean, I think he does a good job, and now that we're going to see a little less of him on screen regularly on The Flash and other shows, I'd like to see him, because he does have that good rapport with people, and I'd love to see him do more directing. So, yeah. And if he can sneak a cameo in there, I'm all for it too. So.
Can you imagine just seeing Reverse Flash pop up in Smallville for whatever reason? How cool would that be? Or, I mean, even as Harrison Wells. I mean, he is the original Wells too, so... Yeah, let's see that. Well, let's dive into our talking points, because, wow, have we got one to talk about.
Yes, indeed.
So, starting a finale, the previously on segment that we usually get is just kind of a quick recap to catch you up to what happened last week. But this previously on segment, showing us what led up to this big moment, was masterfully put together even itself. It quickly got you right back into the emotion of everything, a dramatic reminder of what's at stake, with the emotions right at their peak already, with the fallout of what just happened last week. I mean, even Irons was crying in that opening sequence. You could see he had tears in his eyes at what had just happened. So, like, right off the bat, you're right into the feels of everything.
Yeah, it just kicked it off with a bang. And, several of our listeners are going to bring this up, but I totally agree. I really wish we had gotten a 2-hour season finale.
Oh, yeah.
But the penultimate episode just led so well into this one, and it was like jumping right back in, and I like that. I like that we're not delaying and just keeping that emotion high.
Yeah, so could you imagine, because this one takes place, it's like they cut the episode in half. If they had just played them both as a 2-hour finale, like that would have been incredible.
Yeah, it would have been amazing.
Well, let's jump into Clark first, as we usually do. I think he's usually the leading target we like to focus on. So I think in this episode, he truly worked his butt off as Superman. That's Tyler Hoechlin, the actor and the character. Superman worked his butt off, showing all kinds of emotion, like despair, heartache, determination, joy, you name it. Tyler Hoechlin went through the gamut of acting this episode.
Yes, he did. He did such an amazing job. That's what I appreciate all along, is we get these people with getting to see that Superman is not a god. He has these amazing powers, and we get to see his emotions, and people get to really see him. And yeah, he's human. I know he's not human, but he's human. And that's what I really appreciate, is people get to really see that it's not just this facade there, that he's got depth, and things get to him just like they get to them ordinary humans. So I really like that humanization of it, because that's one of the things that Superman struggles with, and they brought that up at the end with the video footage too.
Right.
That, how people feel about him is not up to him, but it just shows the depth of who he is, and that he's a well-rounded person, and it just really impressed me, and I like that depth that we get to see in Superman.
Totally. What people forget is it's only because he's here on Earth with the yellow sun that even has these powers. If this was back on Krypton, he would be a regular Kryptonian with no powers at all. So of course he's got all the emotions, all the feels. He's just a regular guy. It's only because of our yellow sun he's a bit different than us. But other than that, Kryptonians and humans are virtually the same species. So
yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Now, not only that, but his action scenes were the best of the season. I mean, when he was flying around the world looking for Jordan, man, that was so cool to see. Going through all these different countries and cities, and it was the coolest. I mean, this is Superman action at its best. I think this episode did it better than we've ever even seen in the movies, because this is what you imagine Superman to be able to do. I'm looking for my son. I'm going to circle the world 100 times until I find him. And he's doing it, and we're watching it. It's unbelievable. And then he's fighting the soldiers in the desert with irons, and you guys always ask about my choreography. Well, the choreography for this was awesome. You could feel each hit and understand the power behind a Superman punch. It was, and like I said, you actually saw the hits, and that is key to a fight scene, is let us see the hits landing and the impact of them, especially in a superhero story. That's how we see, or why we see these guys are superheroes, quote unquote. And then being chased by those soldiers through the clouds, oh man, like every little moment of that was such cinematic quality and such high level sequences that it looked real. I mean, the effects team knocked this one not out of the park, not out of the atmosphere, but out of the galaxy. They knocked this one out. It was so real. Every moment that we got of them flying through the clouds, there was not a hint of green screen or computer graphics or any. It just looked real. This is Superman. Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to see more. It was so good. The cinematic quality, film quality. I was just continually blown away that this is a TV show. We've talked about it all season long. That how, yes, they're getting money from HBO Max, but I mean, it is amazing. And to think, okay, it's just so beautiful. I mean, the cinematography there at the end with Jordan and the sun, and it was just amazing. So good.
Yeah, they're just killing it. This like it'll all, everything we're saying that's pumping up this episode will all tie back to our opening statements. Every other Arrowverse show, pay attention. This is how you put it together. You may not have the same amount of money, but it doesn't mean you can't put the effort in to make something this good quality with what you have. So yeah.
Definitely.
And then his speech on camera for Chrissy was what she and the town, I thought, needed to hear. That Superman is proud of them. I mean, imagine that. You're this tiny little town. When Superman arrives, everybody's just gasping like, oh my God, it's Superman. Like, so for him to sit there in the town, give them an exclusive interview and say, I am proud of these guys. You guys came together and saved yourselves. It had nothing to do with me. I just imagine what that will do for the town.
Yeah. Real heroes want to deflect any hero worship and build up others. And that's just what Superman did. It gave ownership to the citizens of Smallville and helped them move forward in a united front. And so it just rocked. You can call Superman a Boy Scout, but he's a hero, and that's the way real heroes behave.
Yeah, he doesn't act like, who could we use as an example? What's the guy that's all about being a superstar? He's got the gold goggles, and he wears a blue spandex suit. What's his name? Booster Gold? Booster Gold. Yeah, Booster Gold's all about the fame and fortune of the whole thing, right? So, Superman is not about that at all. I'm just going to take us to the very end of the episode for a moment. Almost the very end, because this is coming up later. But when he had to say goodbye to Jor-El, that was a very solemn, sad moment. Something you never thought we'd see in a Superman story. But like I've been saying all season long, this show is pushing his story to places we've never been. And closing out the connection to Jor-El is a huge step apart from the history that we've known for 75 years.
Yes, but I still have a feeling that something is going to come from planting his crystal at that tree. And I also wonder about our speculation a couple episodes back about if Cal will find his mom's crystal and take it to the fortress.
Yeah.
Because in the aired version, you didn't see this, but the extended version is when he goes and gets the crystal from the fortress and he looks around and basically just visually says goodbye, not only to his dad, but the fortress. And it just made me so sad. So I'm really hoping that in season 2 we get to see him come with fresh hope with his mom's crystal and put it in there.
Yeah, and I mean, they've put that crystal in play. Now, is it Edge that has that crystal right now? Where did we...
Yes, it was in Edge's ship. So.
Okay. So we'll talk about Edge at the end of the episode here, at the end of our discussion, but it could be the way we saw Edge at the end when he said, I just wanted family. He could bring up to Clark and say, I have our mom's crystal. And maybe maybe the two of them together, because remember, his dad never let him use the crystal. His dad was like against it, like, no. So maybe now that Zeta is gone, the two of them together will use the crystal and build a new fortress and say hello to their mom, and that will usher in a new era, because it has been Jor-El for all these years. So as much as I agree with you, there's a possibility of something with Jor-El to come back, but I just have a feeling that the way the show has been going all season, they are closing the book, the story on Jor-El. It's time to move forward. Clark has to say goodbye. It's part of his story. It's part of his growth as a character to say goodbye. And now maybe we'll get his mom for a while. And I think, I mean, yeah, I just interjected about our Edge talk, but I think that would be a fantastic way for Edge and Clark to kind of somehow build a brothership together, because they are half brothers. So.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's see if that happens. There's my first prediction for it might not be season 2. It might even be season 3 when they might have that on the back burner for a while too. So
yeah.
But keep that in mind, guys. Another point I have is when he was looking for Jordan, when Superman was looking for him, and he flies up to the atmosphere and calls out to him. That was another amazing moment. Like, it was one of desperation, because he has already circled the globe who knows how many times. And he screams at the top of his lungs for Jordan, and the entire world hears it. Now, can you imagine the volume of Superman shouting? I have no idea if that's part of his abilities, like him yelling. Maybe the whole solar system heard it. I have no idea, but can you also imagine being a human on the Earth, just walking down the street going to get a coffee and hear Jordan? What the heck? Where's that coming from?
And your name is Jordan. You're going like, yes.
Yeah. So I think just the fact that the volume that Superman can probably shout, I have no doubt that even if just for a moment he would have broken through to Jordan, there's no way. I know we'll talk about Jordan and how Zeta Row had a handle on him, but I think no matter what, Superman screaming your name is going to break through even for a moment.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. Yeah. It's just, it's powerful, and, it was desperation, but yeah, it was so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, desperation. Again, another emotion we are not used to seeing Superman express. So, yeah. Now, that last big push to get Edge, when he's flying so fast, he's got that whole plan set up with irons that I'll take care of Edge. You just throw the hammer. We've got one shot at this. So that last big push, when he's flying so fast to get down and break through the barrier that the Eradicator has set up around him, the air that's surrounding Superman is on fire because he's flying so fast. I don't think we've ever even seen that effect before. And see, again, out of desperation, the extent that Superman can push his powers. Holy crap, that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, pushing through the air and breaking through that field was just amazing. And we know how powerful that field is. Now, granted, Edge was using it to push out and convert people and raise Krypton, but still, we know how powerful that is, and just to see him break through was amazing. It was so cool.
It was amazing. I mean, again, the special effects, everything there. I mean, it's just, I love it. I love it. I got one last kind of funny question here for you. At the end of it all, he's back to being Clark at the barbecue. And I have to ask, does no one even wonder where Clark was during all of everything that just happened? Because he wasn't there. Like, the whole town's falling apart. Everyone's running around. Lois is there. The boys are there. Sam Lane. Like, everyone is around, but not Clark.
Yeah, good point. I wonder if, like, people will swap stories. They may wonder where he is. I just don't know. You know, I have no clue.
Because even, I mean, his best friend, Lana, or Kai, they may have noticed, like, wait a second, Lois is running around. Where's Clark?
Yeah.
But speaking of Lois, let's jump into her now. I love that she was getting tough with Lars in the military base. I mean, we know how powerful Lars is. She's just like Superman. But Lois just gets mad and she shoves her around looking for answers and all that. Whoa, way to go, Lois. Just slam her up against the wall. That was awesome.
I love seeing the army soldiers back off, giving her space and respect. That was so cool. I was like, you don't mess with Lois. She's her father's daughter.
She even says that. She goes, do I need to call my father in here?
Yeah.
That was pretty. It was cool to see her getting tough. Like, I mean, she's also in desperation mode. Where's my son? Like, the two of them each had their own angle to the story of it's all or nothing. Save my son or save our son. Where is he? And so they each had to push themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, that leads to her. She's unwilling to give up. She's looking for ways to fight back. And she comes up with that idea to use the memory brain device thing. I can't remember what the name of it was that Edge used on Clark. Now, very cool. I love the whole sequence, and we'll talk about that coming up. I love the whole sequence of how she gets in and saves him and stuff. But it was one of those things that I thought was a bit of a quick fix plot device to move this episode along faster. Because how does she even know to use it? How did we get to that point? We only know that Superman told her, hey, he used this device, he was in my head. We had no idea where the device went after we had. So to me, it was just a little bit of a jump in believability to just accept she knows how to use it. Okay. I mean, that to me could be dangerous going into somebody's mind. So I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine the tech's doing most of the work, but she still had to focus and push through to get to Jordan. Hard enough when it's just one mind, like Edge was doing, but she had to push through two minds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit of plot device, but, okay, I'll take it.
I'm just pointing out the fact. I'm not going to complain. I know that's coming around later, and we will really dive into that scene.
Yeah.
So, she said, we sold the brownstone. This is when she's making the offer to Christy to buy half of the Gazette. So she put half of the buying offer towards the Gazette and offers Christy to partner with her in it all, in everything. But the brownstone, is that the name of their residence that they owned in Metropolis?
So a brownstone is a style of building.
Oh.
And so that's their house basically there in Metropolis.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Okay.
basically they've got a really good real estate market in Metropolis, and she got a lot of money for that. I guess it was a good neighborhood and it was booming. So
Yeah.
but I'm glad that they can push forward as equal partners. But that was a big step.
Well, yeah, like the fact that she offers Christy to partner with her in owning the Gazette and putting out stories that are from the ground, that are realistic and true to the story, like she says in her purchasing speech there to her. And what I love about this show is that it doesn't lose touch with who Lois is. She is a reporter. She's the best in the world. That's how we've known Lois for this entire run of Superman stories. That's who she is, and the show does not lose touch with that. Unlike Iris over on Flash, they've completely lost touch with who Iris is over there. So, again, take note.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on to Jonathan. I like how John stepped up to protect his family. He had the guts to use the gun to protect his mom and knock some sense into Jordan. I think he's truly found his role in life. Has he found his role in life? I'll say no. But has he made progress? Yes. He is stepping up big time in his family. And so I really appreciated him doing the hard thing, because I don't know if somebody else put in his position could have longed for that breakthrough and yet stepped up to say, I've got to protect Mom, and I've got to do this because he's not himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Lois, she puts it perfectly when she says he's in control of himself when the situation gets serious, and I trust him. Because he has proven that to her, and it comes back to that little crying session they had together on the couch when he almost died. She says, we're the extraordinary humans in a family of superpowers. I mean, remember that. And this is what's coming back to that, and why her and Jonathan have built a bit of a bond together over these kind of things. So, yeah, he had some great moments. When the time called for him to step up, he stood up, and I'm very happy and proud of the kid, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he did a great job.
So I got a question. When Sarah and her parents come running to help them at the car accident, at the scene there, and Sarah asks him, why did Edge take Jordan? How did he answer her? Because all we see is him look at her with this long pause, and then the scene changes. Do you think he said anything to her? She's obviously curious. He had to have given her an answer of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he said something about, it was revenge against Lois or something like that. I just don't know. I think he had to say something, and leaving it to our imagination kind of builds up on next time, next season, so we can say, okay, and we can have a reveal of, oh, I knew all along, where she tells Jordan, oh, I knew, but I kept it a secret because I knew you. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what he said, but I kind of still think he kept the secret, but we'll see.
So you think he just didn't answer her, and then that was it? Like, they had to leave, so he got lucky? He didn't have to answer her?
Or he may have said he took him to get back at Lois, so, and he didn't come after me because I'm the one that shot the gun, or something to that effect. I don't know.
That makes sense. Maybe to get at Lois, yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But last point about Jonathan, it looks like he might have a girlfriend next season. Tegan came in at the very end of the episode to see him, and they both had that very longing exchange of glances and smiles.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, if she ends up being nice, it's good for him. He needs that.
Yeah.
If they end up tying back to her dad in Central City somehow, and she's still got some type of nefarious plan underneath, then yeah. And I mean, even still, good for the story, because that would be good for Jonathan to have something to contend with that's personal to him.
Yeah.
But either way, I think it's good for him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, getting into Jordan. We didn't get to see a lot of the real Jordan in this episode, but we did get to see his strength and determination. Yes, I have more about that in our favorite scene, but this season we have seen him grow and thrive in Smallville. His family made big sacrifices to move there, and they all benefited, but he did the most. He found love with Sarah, he found confidence on the football field, greater strength and love with his family, and a bigger purpose with his powers. So I really appreciate the growth that we have seen with him this entire season.
That's a really good way to put it. In essence, he found what he didn't have before. Courage, bravery, confidence. Those are the things he needed to come out of his shell and to be able to, you could say, to be a normal teenager, but that's what he needed to just find himself and start coming around. So we'll see where they go with that now. Because even at the very end of the episode, when him and Sarah are walking along the cornfield there, and she's like, I remember what you told me. And he could have, like normal Jordan would have cowered and would have stumbled over it. Instead, he's like, yeah, I said it, and I meant it. Confidence, just like that already. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
So when he was taken over by Zeta and confronted Superman in that volcano area, I want to bring this up because I think there's a bit of confusion out there as to, was that Jordan or was that Zeta Rho? And my idea is that it was all a ruse. That entire thing was a ruse. They wanted us, the viewers, to hope that it was Jordan talking and breaking through. Dad, I can't handle it. And then, but it never was. Zeta, I think Zeta was using him to distract Superman so that Edge could go gather more soldiers. Even though it seemed like Jordan broke through to try and talk, I think it still was Zeta tricking Superman to keep him trapped there, making Superman think that he has a chance on breaking through to Jordan, because every time he snaps into Jordan, Dad, I can't. You saw Superman step back and say, well, Jordan, just hold on, I can help you. And then, boom, then he gets hit again. So I believe the entire thing was a ruse to trap Superman there.
I totally agree. That's the way I saw it. Zeta is just so in charge. He's so powerful that he can control everything. And Jordan, like Zeta said, was a perfect vessel of untapped Kryptonian potential, and he knows how to use that, and he just turned it on and off because he was giving his son time to do what needed to be done. So I agreed. It was just him turning it off and on to full cow.
Well, along with that untapped Kryptonian potential, he also said, and the weakness of a human mind or something like that.
Yeah.
He added in there. So yeah, that tells us right there, yep, I'm in control.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And now going to that scene when Jordan grabs Jon by the throat and raises him up to the rafters of the barn and almost crushes his windpipe. I was really, really worried there. I thought, oh man, would they do that and kill one of the brothers by their own brother's hand? I don't know if they're going to go that far, but maybe they're going to seriously hurt him here. I have no idea. That moment was the biggest feeling I got this episode. But I have the thing that I was thinking is the only reason that Jordan didn't do it right away is because at the moment that was happening, Lois was breaking through inside his head slowly, and that's what was pausing him. Because I think if it was Zeta in full control, he would have just grabbed him and break his neck.
Yeah.
But I think because Lois was getting through slowly, that was working Jordan up to pausing. And like Jordan's Jordan's persona was slowly coming back to the surface again. And what I think, even though Lois did most of the work, I think it was hearing Jon say, I love you, is the snap that he needed. He was close. Yeah. He was close to the surface, but he couldn't break through Zeta's control. But when Jonathan says, I love you, you see him blink and snap right out of it completely. And that's something that we never see in TV shows. We never see brothers professing their love for each other. That is so rare. And yet on this show, it could come off as cheesy, but I don't think in this moment it was. I think that was a powerful brotherly moment for us to have.
Yeah, I mean, their bond is so amazing. I mean, they're twins. They're not identical, but they just have that love for each other. And I think that is just strength there of just really bearing it all to profess your love for your brother and just let them know to try to get through to them and to take that shot. I just really appreciated that they did it in that way.
And that even the cinematography of that moment when he's got him by the throat and they lifts him up to the rafters of the barn, the camera stays on the ground and you see how high up they are and Jonathan's feet are kicking. Yeah. And then it zooms to the close-up of their face. I mean, Jonathan looked so scared. And like, my life's about to end. My brother's going to kill me. I mean, the kids, the acting there. And we've said it before. Jonathan, I think, is a little bit more professional or skilled in his acting. And he really, really showed, it was a very believable scene.
Yeah, it was. And much props to the actor Jordan, who does an amazing job. And he showed on his Twitter a little behind the scenes rehearsal on that, and it was neat. So
I'll have to check that out.
To it. Yeah.
Cool. So I do have a question here. Once Jordan broke free from Zeta, they were still hovering in the barn, up way up in the rafters. They were still hovering, and then Jordan slowly lowers them down when Lois wakes up and says, guys, he slowly lowers them down. So, has Jordan's powers now been awoken fully?
Yeah. I think so. I thought that when I saw it, and then in the article interview with Todd Helbing, he says basically, I think he's going to start slowly to understand how his powers works, the powers he has work, and more frequently develop new ones. So it's not going to. He says it's not going to be a new power a week, but he's going to be more confident in the ones he has, and he's going to start to develop one. So I think we will see floating. And then I think we will see him start to use that as flight. So I think he's got them. It's just the confidence and skills in using them that's going to go forward. Because I think Zeta just unlocked the door, and now he knows they're there. It's just I've got to practice. I've got to work.
And I hope they do that. I would not want a new power a week, because that to me is just unrealistic. I want them to continue growing these characters at a nice realistic pace. Like, okay, he can float now. Well, he has to practice floating. Now, how does he control the direction of where he floats? And it's an ongoing process. And so I hope they do that. I hope it's just a nice slow development. And, maybe by season 4 or 5, we see him actually putting it all together and going to fight with his dad. I don't want that to happen next season. Not yet.
No, I think it's one of those things where use it in small instances where he has to fight, training sequences with his dad and things like that where we see them practicing together, and that's just going to build that bond. So I like that idea.
Totally. Yeah.
So moving on to the Cushings, they really stepped up and made things happen in this episode. You saw them unite together, the three of them holding hands. They were running into the crash scene. They were running in to help Sam and John. They ran in to help the DOD. Their voices were heard by the town. Their actions helped save many people in this town. And yes, it might feel a little cheesy that this town crisis helped people remember who the Cushings are to that town, but I'm okay with it because I'm so glad that they're staying in the town and that they're there to support the Kents too. So I was all in for it.
Yeah. Well, for me, because you've said a couple times now there were some cheesy elements to this, and that this wasn't one yet. I do have one cheesy moment coming up that I will agree with you on. This one, I was still okay with it too, because it takes a crisis for people to forget their stupidity. Honestly, we were really upset with how the town people were treating the Cushings when they had no real grounds or basis for it. If they actually were caring, honest citizens, they would have looked past what was going on and be there for the Cushings. So I'm just glad that this happened, because Kyle was heroic and just doing what he's always done for the people of the town, and seeing that again, I think the town seeing him be the fire chief, be the hero, like they've always known him to be, I think that helped everyone remember who he actually is. And I just think people are idiots. That they needed a good slap across the face, and I think this crisis in their little town was that slap to wake them out of their dumb funk that they were in, blaming everything on the poor Cushings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Lana has that glance with the mayor in that one little moment, and I want to try to read into that a little bit, because they're all helping cleaning up the town, and he looks over at her and he looks sheepish, real sheepish, and then the way she's looking at him, she looks resentful. I don't think there's a reconciliation coming between the two of them. I think that's what he's hoping, ooh, I'm sorry, are you still mad at me? And she's like, I'm never going to forgive you for that. So will she push him out of office? Could that be a storyline coming?
All I gotta say is Lana for mayor 2022.
Now, would that be too cheesy? Would that be pushing too far to have Lana step in as mayor yet? Because the only thing I can see is she's still a little too young to be able to do something like that. Mayors seem to be a little bit more, I don't know. I'm just saying, is that too early for her right now?
I don't know for the story wise, but age wise, no, because there's young mayors and things like that. Now, how they do that in making it a run up, because we don't know what the election cycle is there, so there may be more that may bring in more of the storyline to give her something to do next season, is maybe ramping up for a run or something like that.
Gotcha. All right, so here's my cheesy moment of the episode, and it was that whole barbecue sequence. That to me was ultra cheese, and I feel like it wasn't even Tom Cavanaugh directing it, because it was just so it did not flow the same way the rest of the episode had gone at all. The way it made me feel, I thought we were watching a beer commercial. The music, the close-up shots of drinks being poured and the burgers being flipped and people fake laughing at whatever fake joke they're supposed to be laughing out at. That whole sequence was just junk to me and real amateur. It felt like a Budweiser commercial or something, and it was just an epic failed moment. Now I get I like the moment itself, like what the barbecue symbolizes, the town getting back together and it's all happy, we're all becoming friends again, we're reconciling with each other. I mean, the story behind it is amazing. It's just the way it was filmed, it was a cheesy beer commercial.
Yeah, cheesy, but I think we needed it. Plus, it was a nice bookend to the cookout at the beginning of the season. So I like that kind of bookend. So
yeah, no, that's a good point too. It's just the filming of it. I'm curious if Abby will point that out or not.
Well, talking about one of the people there at the cookout was Sam Lane, and this season we really saw the humanization of Sam. He's gone from a semi-adversarial guy to a good granddad. We see him shrugging off his injuries in this episode in order to help his family. We see him working hard to protect Smallville. Mm-hmm. We even see him realize that he needs to focus on his family and step down from that active role in the DoD. Will it last? I don't know. But I know that even if he continues in the military, it will be a different man than the one that we saw at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, I'd say he's had the most growth this season as a character and the most change. Truly, I think he's gone through the most, because we've seen him wavering back and forth a few times, and he's come around to where he needs to be. This finale showed him taking those last steps to turning himself around and being what he should have been all those years. So, a father and there for his family. So now he's going to just be Grandpa Lane. I mean, I can imagine him just sitting on the porch in the rocking chair having a beer. Maybe he'll realize that he is tired and is just going to sit there and rock in his chair. I don't know. Grandpa Lane.
I don't know. You can take the man out of active service, but he's career military, so I don't know if he's going to be rocking on the porch guy yet.
I mean, maybe they'll use him. He's got connections because he ran the DoD, so maybe he's got these deep connections that Irons can pull from, or whatever. Yeah, who knows? But I was just laughing. I thought it's funny. Grandpa Lane. Here we go.
Yeah.
But speaking of Irons, let's talk about Irons.
Yes, indeed. So Irons shine in this episode. He took all that he knew from the fight on his Earth to the fight against Edge. And the teamwork between Superman and Irons really won the fight. And the only thing that would have made it better for me, and maybe we'll get to see this in further seasons, is to see a big old House of L, on the front of the armor. But it was just nice, and I liked how he stepped up in this episode.
Oh man, the stuff was so much fun. They make such a good team and good allies and good friends. I mean, even the little inside humor they have when things are dire and they're like barely going to survive, they still share a joke with each other. And they're like, yeah, let's do this. Or, I love it. The stuff with him was so cool. And the two of them, I really, really loved it. But what I found interesting is early in the episode, we see that none of his weapons have any effect on Eradicator at all. Even the big ones, the big, solar missile or whatever they call it, nothing worked. And I love the acting of was it Parker? Woles, yeah.
Wool Parks.
Wool Parks, sorry, I was saying it backwards.
Yeah.
You see it on his face when the weapons don't work, the shock and awe that his biggest, baddest weapon did absolutely nothing. And the look on his face, I was like, oh man, yeah, I'm feeling it, buddy. Wow. So good performance on his part too.
Yeah, indeed. And it was amazing to see him and working everything and just the weapons and everything. But honestly, I was a little afraid. I was afraid that they were going to write him off with a sacrifice to save the Earth, but I'm glad Superman saved him.
OMG, I thought he was done for. I thought that was going to be the gut punch of this episode. We lose Irons in his last heroic effort. It really took me by surprise that Superman flew in to save him as he's falling. I mean, even the music was cueing us up to believe that this is Iron's death scene. You tricksters, you got us, you tricksters.
Good writing.
Totally good writing. But I love his axe also here, just to bring up the solar-powered upgrade. How awesome is that? A solar-powered kinetic axe where the farther that it flies, the more energy it builds up to pack a wallop like you'll hear across the galaxy. It's so cool. I mean, I think they're finally differentiating it from Thor's hammer. They're giving it its own unique, like this whole kinetic energy part of it is I like it, and I like how he's using it. That was just a cool moment.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that hammer flying through the basically the lane that through the atmosphere and through the shield that Superman had built, and just the explosion of contact. That was amazing.
It was amazing. Yep.
So even more than the surprise that he survived was the surprise to me that we see Natalie coming to Earth. And I really love this because, like we've talked about it all season, this is a family drama, and it opens more doors for stories with him. Yep. Not just connecting with his sister, but he's gained his daughter back. And so, again, we have this dynamic of family. And we were like, well, how are they gonna build in the family since he's not really connected? But now bringing in Natalie just brings in that family dynamic, and I was just, yes.
I am with you, like, for sure. It was a total shock that they even brought her in, because we've been talking all season. We've been like, nope, she's dead. That his planet's gone, or at least Metropolis is gone. We're like, yeah, she is done. So how are they going to give him family story? Oh yeah, he's going to go connect with his Earth Prime sister. But the thing is here, like, I love the whole idea. I love the shock that they're bringing her in here. But the moment the AI says a ship has locked onto your suit's signal, that to me was the dead giveaway as to who it was that was coming. So the actual moment of her reveal didn't surprise me at all, because I already guessed it. I think they gave it away too soon, and they maybe shouldn't have put in that AI bit there, because it just gave away the reveal moment. It took its ta-da away from it, because I already figured it out. But you're right. His stories will now get a lot deeper. Having her here, facing his new Earth sister and seeing how she reacts to him, there's just a lot that they've just basically got going for him as a character on the show, that he's not going to be one-dimensional. I'm just the guy that shows up in the suit every once in a while. Now he's got some depth to work with, so that was cool.
Yeah, I agree, and it just it makes it worth it, because all season he's been dealing with the weight of the loss and leaving her, and it was just so good to see some resolution, so he isn't like beating himself up constantly about basically abandoning her.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I do have to say this one thing though, and that this you're saying it kind of had a cheesy ending, so I'm going to talk about that. The moment that they left us hanging on, to me, isn't a cliffhanger at all, or even the moment that it's a moment to even be concerned with. I was a little bit like, oh, come on. To be honest, when Natalie looks up at Lois and calls her mom, and everybody looks worried, and what's going to happen? Oh, it's my mom. No, it's like, to me, it's totally silly to think that anything's even going to come out of that. Because, like, hello, all they have to do is say, this isn't your Lois, this is Earth Prime's Lois. Done. The issue is solved. Like, she can't argue it, she can't fight it, she can't... the moment they could have is similar to the moment when Lois talks to Irons at the barbecue, and she goes, hey, why don't you stay with us? You know, Clark would love it. You guys could work on the farm while you're, you know, superheroing stuff around. And, you know, and he says, I can't. I mean, I love that moment too, when he says, I can't, Lois. Every time I look at you, I see my wife, the woman that I love my entire life. I know you're not her, but it doesn't change the feelings that come from it. So I can't stay with you guys. I'll come help you out, but I can't stay with you. That's about the biggest moment you're going to get out of this Natalie issue as well, is she'll have to be like, but it's mom. No, it's not. Oh, okay. But I feel like you're my mom every time I look at you. Okay, well, go live with your dad and you won't see me as much. To me, it's not a big thing. So it wasn't a good final moment. This is between this and the barbecue scene and how fast they wrap things up. Those are the 3 moments the 3 points that make me only give it a 9, because I really wanted to give it a 10. But to end season 1 as this moment, I think if they had left it at her coming out of the ship, would have been better. You know, just to, you know, don't tell us that it's her. Have her, show her face and boom, end the episode there. I don't know. It's not the moment I wanted to end season 1 on. If they wanted to give us a cliffhanger, they could have come up with something a little bit better.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I still disagree, and I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be a process, because you look at the look on Lois's face and you get the depth of what she went through before and losing their Natalie. And yes, they can explain, it's not yours, but it's not gonna... I can see that coming in and them starting to build that foster family feeling, because the feeling goes both ways. So I think it opens it up that way, and I think it has some questions that it answers. You know, it's going to lead up to, and we've said once again, this is a family drama, and this was family drama. So I can see your points. Would it have been better to do something to exactly close things out? Maybe, but we were all maybe expecting a super-powered battle cliffhanger or something to hold us over to season 2. And so they kind of subverted our expectations that way and gave us, okay, what is the family drama going to look like next season kind of cliffhanger. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been happier with a moment like Sarah saying to Jordan, I saw you. You have powers, or like a moment like that would have been a more fun one to land on. Yeah. But the thing with Lois, like I don't disagree with what you're saying. You're right, but I just have the feeling it gave me, because Lois is looking at a Natalie that she lost a Natalie with Clark a long time ago. Well, this Natalie isn't her Natalie, and Clark's not the father. This is Irons. Irons is the dad. So how can she feel any type of attachment to it, knowing like I didn't create this kid with Clark. It's created from Irons and his Lois. So that, to me, it's just like there is not that much depth of connection there. It is just a Natalie. She's got the same name, and yes, a Lois carried her on another Earth, but I'm just not picking up on the connection, because it's not. I mean, if Lois and Clark had a Natalie, she wouldn't look like that at all. So it's different fathers. I cannot see the emotional connection when it's different fathers. Lois may have loved Irons on that Earth, but you love Clark on this Earth. So you're not sharing this process of creating a child with Irons. It's just weird. It's weird to me, and I hope. Yes, they got to deal with it, but don't drag it out. Don't make it a big issue to deal with next season. Make it one and done, one episode, like you've done with everything else this season. Let's solve the issue in one episode and move on.
Okay, so talking about Natalie a little bit more, I know she's smart. I know she's resourceful. But how did she get off of her Earth and to ours?
Yeah.
Did she have help? And if so, who was it? I mean, I have nothing. There's markings on the outside of that ship, but to me, it means nothing. Now, it may mean somebody else in the Superman lore to know what those markings may have meant, but that's a big question for me.
Right now, I'm feeling like she didn't have any help because in the flashbacks, Irons has been telling us how smart she is and that she helped him build everything. So I think it was kind of just a matter of time. We don't exactly know how long Irons has been here, but I think it was just a matter of time before she did show up. But what I don't get is how she is here, because they also led us to believe that she's gone and at least Metropolis, if not the planet, is destroyed. So if it's not, I mean, that's one story right there. Okay, that planet survived. How did it survive? Or is it completely taken over and destroyed by Edge and his army, and she managed to escape the same way he did? Maybe she was underground in such good hiding that they never found her, given her time to build similar stuff to what her dad built so that she could follow it. Maybe she's able to track him, like, okay, this is his trajectory, this is where he went, and follow him. Now, how she gets through the crisis event or the portal, we still don't know exactly what brought him here. How she recreates that, we don't know, but I just feel like she did it on her own because she is as smart as she is. And those markings on the ship, I mean, Irons did work for the DOD on his Earth, so maybe that's just DOD parts, or maybe the DOD helped her. Whatever's left of it. Yeah, I don't know.
It could very well be.
So my last question about Irons is, we have that little moment with him and Sam at the barbecue, and Sam tells him he's retired, and Irons says, they gave me a hard sell for me to join them. Do you think, is there a chance for Irons to actually take over for Sam and lead the DOD now?
I think that he may have just done a consultancy before, but I think having his daughter in the picture now, he's going to look for something. You know, he can't just be this rambling guy anymore because he's now got family. So I think that may very well be a possibility. He's like, okay, I'm going to step up. I'm going to have this stability of a job, and I'm going to, so that I can support my daughter and I can make sure that she's safe on this earth. So I think it may have not have been as much of a draw before, but now that he has her, it may be a little bit more of a draw.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a perfect position for him to move into, and it'll pay well. So yeah, it gives him something to do. Right? So let's move into Morgan Edge now, the Eradicator. That moment near the end there when he dive bombs into the mines outside of Smallville, and we see him walk, he opens up that hole and the sunlight comes in and he's walking around the cave. There was a ton of X-Kryptonite still in there, like millions of crystals sticking out of the earth. I guess the DOD didn't get it all out after all. Unless that was just a new location that they didn't know about.
So my thoughts are this. They were taking their time and they only put a small crew on it because the people in Smallville don't know how much there is underneath, and so their main focus was protecting the town. So they had like a crew that gives a good enough impression coming in and out, but they weren't doing a whole lot so that their soldiers would have something to do if they weren't protecting and on guard duty. So I think that, there was plenty enough left for Edge. So
Totally. And what's going to happen with it now? I mean, Superman knows it's there.
Well, I mean, looks like the stuff that was really around them got blown to bits.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, there may be like powder or bits and pieces, but I mean, you look at that explosion, I'm like, I think you're good.
That's true. I probably got rid of all of it. Yeah, you're right. So in the end, Morgan Edge survived that fatal hit from Iron's hammer, so it wasn't maybe so fatal after all. But we see him there on his knees, barely sticking around, and he's talks to Clark and I only wanted brothers. So there's a lot of things going on here. Is he now powerless, or is he just tired and needs some solar recharging? Because all he wanted was family. And well, first, before I answer this, do you think he's powerless, or do you think he just needs to recharge and will still be Morgan Edge before he became the Eradicator, the Kryptonian, and still have the same powers? What do you think?
So I think he's just depowered for now, is my guess. Okay. And that really, I think he spent all that time soaking up that energy and was extending so much out with the attacks and to try to take over and the shielding, and it just really dissipated him. So I think it's going to take, it's one of those things where the battery is just completely dead, and it's going to take, to really get him back up to full speed of like a normal Kryptonian, he would probably have to be in one of those black recovery suits yeah. And even more soaking up the radiation. So I think if you put him in a kryptonite cell and keep him out of the sun, it's just going to take him way long to recharge.
Which leads me to my next question, because I don't think they're going to want to allow him to recharge. So he says to Clark, all I wanted was a family. And Clark says, well, you did. We were brothers. So what's going to develop? This is the biggest question for next season, is what's going to develop between the two of them? Will Edge now turn to the good side and listen to Clark and listen to how he can become part of Earth and live alongside with the humans instead of trying to control them? Is there going to be something developed there, or are they going to take him away and put him in prison forever and never let him out, never let him recharge because they feel they can't just trust him? What do you think is going to go? Because this opens the gates wide open to what could happen with Edge now. Could he be Uncle Morgan living on the farm?
Yeah. So I'm a little biased because the article that I've talked about, that I put in the Facebook group with Todd Helbing, he compares the relationship between Edge and Cal to the Thor and Loki relationship. And I think it's going to be something that we see play out over the entire run of the series, where he is going to be maybe called out when Cal needs extra help and get some insight. And so he's going to be like on a work release, basically. Yeah. Because I don't see them like, you're forgiven. It wasn't entirely you. You were just... Yeah. There's the brother relationship, but there's just so much that has come between them that it's going to be... We'll work together when we have to, and we'll start to build stuff, but I don't see it, okay, you're totally forgiven. But I also don't see, because of what we've seen in this season of, okay, he's in prison until season 4. I think we may see glimpses here and there of talks and use, but I don't think... we're just not going to see him for a couple seasons.
Well, we might. The fact that they said is very much like Thor and Loki, I think I mean, first of all, you're referencing Marvel, which has done everything right. So that's a fantastic reference point. If you're going to tailor their story after Thor and Loki, I think that is actually perfect for these two characters, because you look at the similarities of it. Loki was always naughty from the beginning, and what he tried to do, he tried to take over Earth and be its ruler. That's exactly what Edge did. Take over Earth, be its ruler. We're Kryptonians. We're better than Earthlings and humans. And it caused a rift between the brothers, between Loki and Thor, just like it caused a rift between Edge and Clark's like, I have a brother? What? And then turns out he has to fight against him. So the story is there. It's very similar. So, and the way we watched Thor and Loki play out, Loki did the almost unforgivable, and Thor has had a real hard time trusting him after that initial battle in the first Avengers movie. But it's taken the next 6 or 7 movies of Loki working with them to have to prove himself. And eventually, in the end, he does almost come around full circle where Thor does kind of trust him again and he proves that I can be there. I can help out. I will no longer kill the humans. I will no longer want to rule them, but I still want what I want. I want power and glory and everything. I just let me do that. So I think the similar story for Edge here, same idea. Okay, I'll live on this planet. I'll help you protect humans and whatever. It's I will no longer try to rule them. I understand where you're coming from now. I won't be a bad guy in that sense, but let me build up my multi-billion-dollar thing. Let me have everything I want, have the power and all that I want, and I'll help you when I can. I think the story going forward is he has to prove to Clark that he can be trusted now, and that's what's going to be the ongoing story. He's gonna build up some trust and then falter again. He's gonna build up some trust and then falter again. And it's gonna take a few hits and misses before they finally can be like, okay, you know what? You're not so bad. I can try. I think I can see it following exactly the same story. It's great.
Yeah. We'll see.
Awesome. Great. I mean, great idea for sure. Yep. Whew. Well, that brings us to our favorite scenes, man. Are you ready for these?
Yes.
Shape out and eagle!
All right. So am I. And that was such a good discussion, X-Force. I'm so pumped about this finale. This is how a show should end. This is how it should end, where we're just excited to talk about it. All right. So first up, for our favorite scenes, I'm gonna take it away here. I've called this one "Strong Like Parents He Is." This is when Superman and Lois are in the tent and they're talking about Jordan fighting through all of this, and they both exchange, remarks about how he's strong like his dad. No, he's strong like his mom. I just love that scene. Here it is.
How do I do this? How do I stop the new subject's Edge the way he is now and save Jordan all at once?
You can't, Clark. You have to let us help you. You and John Henry can take down Edge, and Jonathan and I will save Jordan.
How?
With the same device that Edge used on you to access your memories, we can use it to save Jordan.
Lois.
You and Kyle and all the other people that Edge used as subjects, you all said the same thing. That there was a darkness that overcame you when you were eradicated. I've been helping Jordan push through that darkness his whole life. I can do it now. I can access his memories and wake him up.
Yeah, but they won't just be Jordan's memories. They'll be Zeta Rose too. And if he realizes you're in there like I did with Edge, he'll wake up and then he'll come for you.
And if that happens, Jonathan will be there. I have seen him under pressure and he is in complete control. Clark, you and I brought the boys into the superhero world, and I wasn't sure it was the right thing to do, but I have seen how capable they've become. They're strong, like their father.
Like their mother.
I mean, it's something we didn't touch on, the music again for this show. And in the finale, it was just building. Every moment just really gets your heart going. There's so much about this scene that I love. Like Superman's worried about how he can do it all at once. So Lois gives him the confidence to handle his half of it. Let me do my half. I can save our son. I've been there his whole life. I've pushed him through the tough times. I can do this. And it's because he's strong. There's so much there. And I love that they're strong like their father. Well, he's strong like their mother. I love that and you've mentioned so many times this season, they're on equal ground with each other. Superman doesn't think he's better than her in any way. He has her up on the same level as he is. And I love it.
Yeah, I was this close to making that my favorite scene, but I'm like, I'll leave that for Flash. But honestly, there were so many good scenes in this episode, but I love it because of the confidence that Lois has in the family, that each person in the family can play their part to make this happen, and the trust, because she has seen each one of them step up to that level, and knowing that, yeah, it takes a team, and it takes all of them to make this happen. And I love it. I love that push of, I'm confident that between you and Irons, you can do your thing. And I'm confident that Jon and I can do our thing. And I'm confident that that Jordan can push through. So I love it because of just the confidence that Lois has in her family.
And it's a perfect segue that leads into your favorite scene. That my scene kind of builds up the moment to get to yours. So here.
Jordan! It's Mom! I need you to hear me! Jordan! Jordan. Honey, I'm here, okay? I'm here.
I'm sorry I'm not strong, Mom.
Yes, you are.
You said I was pathetic, an embarrassment, the weakest of my kind.
That's because he knows how strong you really are.
Not strong, Mom.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I'm not strong, Mom!
Yes, you are. What Zeta said is not true. You have no idea how strong you are. You're stronger than any of us. All your life, you have been strong. You are a fighter. I need you to fight now, harder than you ever have. You find that strength that I know is there. You find that strength to come back to us. I know you can do it, baby. Find that strength and fight. Fight. Fight.
I'm proud of you.
That's what it is.
I love you.
Boys. We did it.
Oh man.
That scene, that fight, that was my title. I mean, that scene just brought us both to tears here, listening to it. It's just so awesome because I love Lois encouraging Jordan in his strength and to break through. And you can tell by this short conversation how much she has done working with him in his mental health fight all along. And that's the thing. Mental health is a struggle. It is not something that is just automatically won. It is one step. It is people encouraging people to make that next step, to fight, to keep moving through. And I absolutely love it. It's just such an amazing scene.
You are so right. It did bring me to tears. I'm sitting here crying with X-Force. It's kind of hilarious. Men don't cry. We don't cry together. What's this all about? But it's Bitsie. Again, Bitsie brings emotion like unlike any I've seen in a long time. And out of this CW universe, she's brought me to tears in one season more than any other actor. It's crazy. Oh, she's powerful.
Yes.
All right. I got a bonus scene here. Now, I'm going to dedicate this one to our co-host who is not with us anymore for a little while, Harley Quinn. She had her baby. I don't know if everybody has seen on the Facebook page or not. Mama and baby Harley are doing very well. Everybody is strong and healthy. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that in case you missed the Facebook post. So in honor of her not being here, and it is the finale of Superman, which she really wished she could have been here for, I wanted to play an extra clip for her. Whether this is the one she would have picked or not, I don't know, but it's going to be for her. This one is when Clark had to say goodbye to Jor-El.
Growing up, I always felt different. Alone, in some way. I had so many questions about who I was, why I was here. But all that changed when I met him. He taught me so many things. About my home world. About my family. About myself. But the greatest thing he ever did for me is just being my dad.
Music and Tyler's performance again. Oh, these guys are so good. That one's really, it's just as emotional for me because he's talking about a father and all that kind of stuff. Me, in my own personal life, I didn't really have a dad growing up, so this kind of stuff gets to me and like, yep, I feel you, Clark. So
yes.
There we go. Well, we are going to wipe our tears away while you guys listen to this clip about our Patreon page.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Don't keep it to yourself now. Come on, baby, talk to us. It's feedback. Yeah.
It is feedback, and we got some good stuff tonight. I am so curious about what our fans have to say about this finale. So first up is an email from Comic Geek Kev, and he says, "Hi, Legends. First, congrats, Harley. When will the new podcaster be on the air?" Good episode, a decent season finale. I'm really not a big fan of the love conquers evil type of stories, but I liked that it was the brothers who pulled it off, even if it took a little nudge from Mom. Stellar effects again, some cool fight scenes, especially with Superman and the possessed soldiers. I like the idea of Lois owning half the Gazette. It makes sense, and I hope they follow up in future episodes to make it a much bigger and better paper. I really thought Chrissy, Lana, or Sarah would find out about Clark and Superman this season. I'm still betting it happens before too long. Iron's reasoning for not wanting to stay in Smallville makes sense. It would have to be weird to see Lois every day. But now with his daughter back, I'm guessing we'll see him for a while next season. I hope he remains at least a recurring character, and he needs to find his sister. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it makes sense. I could not imagine looking at someone that is the identical replica of your wife that you've loved for so long. I could not put up with that. That would be really too hard. So it makes sense. And I believe he'll be around. I think they just set us up for plenty more Iron's story to come.
Oh, yeah.
So Edge is depowered but still alive. What about Lar? In custody, but is she depowered? Maybe I missed that info. Yeah, actually, we didn't ask that. We saw Lar in a Kryptonite prison with her hands up against the glass. What's going to happen to Lar going forward?
So, as far as I know, she has not been depowered because...
Yeah, I don't think so.
That Kryptonian soul has been in her for so long, it's taken over. There's not anything left of the host.
Yeah.
And there was nothing to depower her, so nothing changed for her. She's still superpowered.
Yeah.
Just in a Kryptonite cell.
So, yeah, I mean, she's weak right now, so will she ever break out? Can she break out? Is it going to take someone else to come get her again? Would that be Edge? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Lara. That'll be interesting to see. Yeah. I mean, she was a fun character. She was a fun bad guy to have, so I think they'll have to use her somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes on. Nice callback to Kilgrave. At the time, that whole scene didn't seem to make much sense, but now we see how it worked out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sonic gun that Jonathan had to blast his brother with. Yeah. I mean, that was a cool scene too. I mean, he had the itchy trigger finger that he pulled the first time, but then Jordan realized, oh yeah, I'm faster than your finger. Gets him the second time.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. I can't wait for next season. I hope they keep the quality where it is. This show hits on all points, and I want to see multiple seasons. I'm giving this episode 9.7 out of 10 broken dad crystals with a sad face. Till next time, legends, Comic Geek Kev.
Good.
I have a feeling with how successful this show is and what's being said about it out there and what the fans are saying, it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah,
a few seasons.
Me too.
Yep.
Yep,
all right.
definitely.
Next up, Facebook message from Faith McQuinn.
Yeah, Faith says, I was not expecting to cry so much. Agreed. Unsurprisingly, this was an amazing season finale. I really love how the stakes were high, but the resolutions felt so personal. It's going to be very interesting to see how Natalie comes to terms with this Lois not being her mom. Also, did anyone think Jonathan may have told Sarah a little something about Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had those thoughts too. Thanks, Faith.
Yep, thanks, Faith. Good comments. Next up is Dad L. Hello, Super Fam. I've said it before, but I will say it again. There's no doubt that this show is my favorite live-action incarnation of Superman. This version of Lois is also very close to topping Erica Durance's for me. Just need another season or two. Ooh. Erica is also my favorite Lois. I mean, Margot Kidder kicked it off. She's the one that brought the attitude to Lois, and everyone's kind of followed that suit. But Erica, I mean, we got Erica for quite a few seasons. So yeah, I think just some time. Yeah. Bitsie's amazing. She is absolutely amazing. I think Bitsie's a better actress than Erica. So I think give us some time with her. We'll get there. And yeah, I love Tyler so much. He is up there for me, I think, as almost my favorite Superman too, at least the way we're seeing him now.
Yeah.
Let me get to my negative comments out of the way first. We knew the Kent family would all survive. We knew Jordan would come back. We knew Smallville wouldn't be destroyed. So I wanted some Fallout or related cliffhanger. Things felt like they were wrapped up too nicely. I thought Jordan would temporarily lose his powers. I thought Irons would sacrifice himself for Superman, who is an alternate version of the man who murdered his wife. I thought General Lane's injuries might have left his fate ambiguous, but nothing like that happened, so I knocked my rating down slightly. Those are things that I was touching on, for sure, as points to just nitpick a bit about. Now the good. This show excels at balancing action and emotion. We watched Superman search the world. We saw him get punched by his own son. Irons and Supes had the perfect action-packed team-up. I loved how the hammer was a big part of the final save. Hammer time again. Lois poured everything into saving her son. The emotions felt raw and real. Jonathan is learning how he can help as well. I hope he never develops powers. Given his propensity for weapons, I think he should eventually join the army. One day he could be General Kent. And that's a fantastic idea. I'm with you. I don't want him to gain powers now. That would just be too easy of a writing story, I think, to just, yeah, they both got it now. It's Lois and Jonathan against Jordan and Clark. It's perfectly split, so.
Yeah.
I love the scowl that Lana gave the mayor. Some serious foreshadowing that Lana will be running against him. Yep. Finally, Talro survives. Will he be the Thawne of this show? I'm very happy that we didn't get another version of Luthor or Zod. The new mythology the show has embraced is a big part of its success. Finally, Natalie returns to what promises to be a very awkward Season 2 premiere. My final rating, 9 awkward alternate mom moments. Season rating, 9.5 S Shields of Hope. Dad L, last father of Krypton. Well, nice. How perfect is it? Because we have the last sons of Krypton. He's the last father of Krypton.
Yeah.
I think X-Force, when we're done reading the feedback, think about it. Let's give our season overall ratings at the very end.
Definitely. Will do. So next up, we've got an email from Perry White. Hey, Flash, X-Force 11, and Mama Harley home with baby Quinn. It's Barry White typing out another feedback for Soups and Low, Last Sons of Krypton. So let's just get this out of the way. I'm giving this episode 9.99 victory ribs out of 10. The only thing keeping it from a 10 is that I only wish it would have been a 2-hour finale.
Yes.
Yep. If so, more time could have been dedicated to the parallel final battles. The fight of might with Soups and Steel versus the Eradicator and the Kryptonian Defense Council, and the dual fight for Jordan's soul by Lois and Jon versus Zeta. But holy cow, let's look what's in store for Season 2. First of all, I think Zeta's essence remains with Jordan. The way the camera lingered on his face at the end, the only thing that was missing was the glowing red eyes to punctuate the moment. Now, I want to stop here. I had a totally different take on that. I felt like he was soaking in the sun, soaking in the moment, and just having his contentment. But then reading Perry's thoughts, I'm like, oh no, no, please say no. But I mean, that would be an interesting twist. But wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Good question. I think the struggles that Jordan experienced in his early life with anxiety and other mental health issues will only grow with the prospect that he somehow might have a dual personality with Zeta. I think such a setup is rich for stories about mental health in a superhero show setting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Season 2 also sets up incredible conflicts with the arrival of Natalie. But how did she get to our Earth? How will she respond to Lois? And more importantly, how will she cope with this Earth Superman? While her dad may have reconciled his feelings towards our Clark Superman, I can't imagine that Natalie will be so quick to get over it.
Okay, let me interject for a second there. Again, that comes back to what I was saying. If her father believes, all he has to do is say, don't worry, he's good. You can trust me to trust him. And it's done. I just don't see a big issue here at all with Natalie.
But I see his point too, because she is a young adult who saw her mother get murdered by Superman. And I think, there's going to be some discrepancy there. And we'll get into Perry's thoughts too, because he continues. Okay. He says, it took time and a strong connection for the Kents to reach Steel. Natalie, having spent a bit more time on her Earth after her dad left, probably witnessing more of Superman's destruction, might not be able to forgive our Earth Soups. I also suspect that she will have some conflicts with Steel about what they should do: stay on this Earth or travel back to save their own. Interesting. Yeah. As the father of 3 girls, I'm looking forward to seeing more father-daughter stories in this series.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. Yep, nice. Finally, the finale might have benefited from a bit more time to show what's happening with the Eradicator. Has Tal-Rho regained consciousness, or is he forever gone? Oh, that's a good point. Is the Eradicator merely hurt or depowered? And will he regain his abilities? So we talked a little about the abilities, but we naturally assumed that Tal-Rho was back and it wasn't the Eradicator's personality.
That's what I feel. Just based on the way he said, all I wanted was
me
a
too.
family. I feel like it's Tauro.
Yeah. Will the nutrients of the Earth's soil somehow restore Jor-El's crystal? Or will Cal find a way to access his mother's crystal through any remnants of the Eradicator?
Yep.
I guess since I'm asking these questions, the finale did all the things it's supposed to do. I can't wait for next season, folks. This has been Perry White making his season 1 finale deadline. I'm out.
Yep.
Love it, Perry. Thank you for your consistency all through this season, making your deadlines.
Exactly. Yeah, you've been with us right from the get-go, so we totally appreciate it, man. You're one of the team, hanging out with us on the Waverider for sure.
Yep.
Next up is someone we haven't heard from in a while. It is Patty Spivot.
Hey Flash and X-Force 11, it's Patty Spivot calling in. Just wanted to say hey and tell you how much I've been enjoying the season and enjoying the podcasts about the season this last few months. It's been just fantastic. I love this show. The cast is amazing. The special effects are amazing. The drama is amazing. Super suspenseful. It's just been a lot of fun to watch, and I just thought I'd call in and say happy finale, and hopefully everything goes good tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say and all the theories for next season, and we'll talk to you then.
There you go. Good to hear from her again on the podcast.
Indeed.
And we're going to end it with a Dreamweaver getting in right in the nick of time. She sent me a message. I just sent in feedback, barely got it in. I'm like, no, you're good. Here's Dreamweaver.
Hello, Super Fam. Here we are, the Season 1 finale of Superman and Lois, the last sons of Krypton. And I am rating it 8.5 screams heard round the world out of 10, because Clark sure was flying this episode. He hit Paris, Russia, and Tokyo, along with some other cities I couldn't quite recognize, all within a few minutes. This was a very good finale, but there were a few missing pieces to me that I would have liked to see and tie some more things together that would have really put it over the top. I will say, I watched the extended cut along with the broadcast version, and there were 2 extra scenes that really added some value to this episode. The first is an extended scene in the DoD tent after Sarah asked General Lane about updates on Jordan, and then it's a full family meeting with Jon and Irons talking to Clark and Lois. Lila and Argus are mentioned, explaining why they can't just get another one of those red missiles, and it has Irons asking Jon to help him put something together out of his armory. And then the second one I'll get to if Jeff hasn't already mentioned them. The first thing I'll say is that I can't believe that no one found out about Clark or Jordan. I thought it was perfectly teed up for Sarah or the rest of the Cushings to learn about the family heritage and change some status quo here with that, but no, they managed to avoid having their questions answered. I was also hoping to see the Cushings team up with the Kents more in this episode since they've been so involved with each other, but I do like that the Cushings vignette, if you will, was them stepping up and helping save Smallville and the people there. Even with people there still in their face at the beginning, and I'm glad that they're staying in Smallville after all. I thought an interesting fact in this episode is that despite all the power that Edge took from the Sun as the Eradicator, is that he still can't make full stable Kryptonians out of anyone. They still have to be from Smallville. And he still has to use the X-Kryptonite. So we knew those DoD soldiers were only temporary, and for him to just use that as a distraction. So I wonder if those blasts from Edge at the end there weren't meant to just destroy the town, necessarily, but were meant to also eradicate anyone it comes into contact with, since they need the Smallvillians if they're going to resurrect any of the other Kryptonians. I liked how everyone kind of had their own hero moment this episode. Superman, of course, but he wasn't the sole focus. Irons having a great shot and almost sacrificing himself, which I'm really glad he didn't. The Cushings and Kyle leading the town to safety. Lois and Jon getting Jordan back. I just really wish the part in Jordan's memories was longer, that we'd been able to see more of Jordan fighting back and Zeta going down, but I'm both really glad that they did not leave the anxiety stuff to just fade into the background this season, and that it was an important part in understanding Jordan and to see him fight through that. And also that the ultimate thing that snapped him back was his mom and his brother telling him that they love him and that they know he's strong. And it didn't feel forced and just standing around with a pep talk like it seems all a certain Scarlet Speedster knows how to do anymore. And it wouldn't be a superhero finale without a funeral of some sorts, would it? The second extra scene in the extended cut is one of Clark going back to the fortress to collect the remains of Jor-El's crystal, and it looked very much like it was a possible final goodbye to the fortress. Clark hangs around and looks pretty sentimental during it. Now, one of the big things I was really hoping to see in this finale, and there's still the possibility of it happening later on, but I really wish that we had seen Clark get Lara's crystal from Tal-Rho and have it in the fortress. It would have been such a fantastic bookend for the season with how it all started with him losing Martha. So there were a few status quo changes. General Lane is no longer General Lane. I'm not sure if I've ever seen or read a version of Lane not as a military man, so that is new for him, and for me. Lois now owns part of the Gazette, and her and Christy are partners now, which Christy seemed to get over her feud with Lois pretty quickly, I will say. But the best and the biggest for last here, which I had a feeling was going to be the case, is that Natalie is still alive, and she made it to Earth Prime. And there's probably going to be a strange dynamic as she comes to terms with this Lois not being her mom, and this Lois being married to Superman. That'll make for some interesting dynamics next season. But I can see her and Jon having a good repertoire already. I will say I really did like this episode, even with some of my negative feedback, but I thought it was pretty well paced for everything that was in it, but I just think that there was a bit too much denouement at the end, the falling action after Edge was defeated. A little too much happy for what just happened, but I also think it's important to see the celebration and let the characters have their happy and their wins. I just wish there had been more fallout immediately addressed in this one instead of waiting until next season to see some of it. Like another scene between Clark and Tal-Rho after he was apprehended would have been really nice to see. A bit more family talk there and possibly some more repercussions with Jordan. That would have been good to see too. So it was still really solid with some nice action pieces. I mean, the speed ramp sequence of Superman taking down his DOC soldiers in the quarry, that was really cool. And there were some really nice emotional pieces. There were just some missing pieces to me that would have really put this over the top and gotten it a bit of a higher score. Well, that's all for now. Until next season for Superman and Lois. In the meantime, we're still better together with Stargirl and Legends still coming up. So until next time, your friend Dreamweaver.
And that's how you wrap up a season. It's just like that.
Yes.
I like you brought it up in our discussion, and she brought it up here again too. I just wanted to touch on that scene where Clark goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and it was a very solemn moment because he doesn't say anything. It's just him and the music and the silence of where he is at, and the way he looks around and the camera pans around and the fortress is destroyed. I believe that was his goodbye. Not only did he say goodbye to his dad, but he said goodbye to the fortress. He's going to have to build a new one. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But to me, that moment was very telling that we're closing the book on a few of Superman's chapters that have been around for a long, long time, and that was one of them.
Yeah,
definitely good stuff. Well, everybody, fantastic feedback. Thank you for bringing the finale to an end with such amazing thoughts of your own, and for being with us all season. We totally appreciate it, guys. Totally. But like Dreamweaver just said, we've still got Stargirl. It just started, so we've got a good, 12 episodes? 11 more episodes of Stargirl? And we still have a few left of Legends. Legends goes into September, so Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast, is not going out of years just yet. Stick with us for those shows. But if you want to send feedback for those guys, this is what you got to do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
Well, I just kind of gave my final thoughts during the end of feedback, so I got nothing left to say. I usually like to end the episode with something, but other than what I said.
So season-wise rating for me, I would probably give it like an 8.5, maybe a 9, just because of some dips in there. But just an amazing freshman series, and one of my most favorite watches ever of a first season. Right. It brings me happiness just to watch it and just to to be able to podcast on it, it's like coming to the podcast and being so happy because of being able to podcast about something you really, really enjoy. So I loved it.
I am so with you. I just enjoying the season as a whole, getting to podcast with you and Harley about it. The fact that we've got the new best show in the CW under our banner to get to talk about, I'm very happy and proud of that. But I have loved this show so much. It really is the new leader of the CW. It has taken Arrow's spot as leader. I know we don't have enough connection to the other shows yet to make it feel truly like it's leading the way for them, but it still is. Everything that they've done with the show, the acting, the writing, the drama, the action, everything is top notch, and it's been fun. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to see where this show goes for the next couple seasons. I mean, we're here for the entire run of it.
Indeed.
Yeah, that is awesome stuff, and we'll be back. We don't even know. We don't know when the season 2 is coming, do we?
In that article from Todd Helbing, it said 2022, so we don't know. I'm guessing it will come on after the next season of Legends, so that's my guess. So
in final words, my rating, season-wise, I will give it 8.75, and it's almost a 9. I think I don't want to go too high because I want to see where the rest of their new seasons go. But there was only just a few slip-ups this season, and the only times I thought they slipped up was when they rushed solving the problems. That was my big takeaway complaint about this season, was they rushed some of the things too fast. Other than that, it was there was nothing else to really complain about. So there you go, 8.75 season rating. All right, that is all we got for you guys. We'll be back on the mics tomorrow night for Stargirl. So if you haven't gotten feedback in for Stargirl yet, you got till tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock Eastern. This is The Flash signing off.
This is X-Force 11, so say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.